Trade Jimmie Ward. They should do that. Now, I don't think they need to do it now. You can have him as a backup the rest of the year. You can let him back up Tavarius Moore the rest of the year. Unless they want to trade him for a player. That's the thing. They could trade him at the deadline for a player. Trading him for a draft pick doesn't really help. You could trade him for a draft pick after the season. You want to trade him for a player? A pass rusher, maybe? Trade Jimmie Ward for a guy who can rush the quarterback? Because the Niners don't have any guys like that right now. They should do that. If they could get a pass rusher, do that. Aldon Smith, maybe? I don't know. Someone good. Because apparently Jimmie Ward has value. If you can't get a pass rusher at the deadline, trade him in the offseason for a pick. You get something good for him. A second, maybe a third. Here's the way I look at Jimmie Ward. We've seen him for 7 years. He's a terrific athlete, a former first-round pick, a hard worker, a guy who's had bad luck with injuries. From all accounts, a good guy, smart guy, coach's favorite, good teammate, but not a bad safety, just not a good safety. He doesn't play any position particularly well. Good athlete, good tackler, excellent tackler, but doesn't play any position particularly well. Not a good nickelback, not a good cornerback. As a free safety, do you ever notice him? You notice him when he gets beat. He doesn't make plays. Now, he didn't get beat very much last year because he was playing behind the best pass rush and front seven in the league, and all those defensive backs looked good until the Super Bowl. But even behind the best front seven in the league, he wasn't making plays. He's been in the league for 7 seasons. He's intercepted 2 passes. Been in the league 7 seasons, forced 2 fumbles. Been in the league 7 seasons, recovered 2 fumbles. He's just not around the ball enough. And it's a big time sample size. It's not like we've seen 20 games. No, he's played 70 games in the NFL. And what we've seen from Jimmie Ward, Jimmie, God bless you. You've made a lot of money in the league. People have given you chance after chance. If you were a 3rd-round pick, you wouldn't still be starting. You don't make enough plays. He's very conservative the way he plays. It's almost like he concedes the catches. He just wants to be close enough that he can make the tackle. Doesn't want to get burned, although he does sometimes. Not aggressive enough. Just doesn't make enough plays. And if he were just some first-round pick that the Niners inherited who was making $4 million a year, yeah, fine, keep him, whatever. But he's almost 30. He's making about $10 million a year. What are you paying that money for? And again, it's not my money. We're talking cap space. Why are you giving him this percentage of cap space? What is he giving you? He's not making plays. He's not creating turnovers. And you don't say like, oh, turnovers come and go. They're random. Not with Jimmie. 7 seasons, 2 turnovers, 2 picks. That's a pattern. He doesn't create those plays, doesn't make those plays. What are you paying for? A guy to create, a guy to get hurt? A guy who makes good tackles, but his body is, just as likely or more likely to break down than the guy he's tackling. He's never going to play 16 full games a season. Almost 30 years old. Doesn't cover ground like his backup. And that's the thing. The Niners have a backup who, in my opinion, is better. Tavarius Moore. He comes in, and every time he gets an opportunity to play, he plays well. He's always around the ball. He makes plays on the ball. He had an interception in the Super Bowl. When I watched him in camp last year, 2019, remember Jimmie Ward missed all of training camp. Tavarius Moore was a starting free safety every day. He intercepted Jimmy Garoppolo 3, 4, 5 times in a couple of weeks. He was really good. And he started the season as the free safety last year because Jimmie Ward had, one of his myriad of injuries. Missed the first 3 games. It was a thumb or a shoulder. I don't know what it is with him. Hard to keep up. So Tavarius Moore started. The defense played great. The defense won the game for them week 1. The defense was great again week 2 against Cincinnati. He week 3 against Pittsburgh. He takes one bad angle to the ball in the middle of the field on Juju Smith-Schuster. Gives up a long gain. Bench the next week. You don't really see him much the rest of the season. And I understand where Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan were coming from with that. Jimmie Ward makes that tackle. And Tavarius Moore played cornerback the first season of his career in the NFL. he maybe wasn't quite ready to play all 16 games at safety last year. We don't know if he was the tackler, because he can't just play free safety in this system. You got to play free and strong. You got to be able to do both. That's the way the Niners use their safeties. You got to be able to play single high, split safety, and in the box, all three. And Jimmie Ward can do that. Now, he doesn't really make plays at any position. Remember that. Not any position, but he can line up and be in the right spot and make a tackle. You wonder about that with Tavarius Moore. Well, we saw him against the Patriots. I mean, I think before the game, a lot of us thought that the Niners wouldn't even let him play because the Patriots are a run-first team, and maybe the Niners should start Jonathan Cyprien and Marcel Harris, two bigger guys, two shorter tacklers. That didn't happen. They started Tavarius Moore. He played the whole game and was one of the, I'm not going to say he was one of the bigger hitters on the team because that's an overstatement. What I saw from him watching the tape this morning was he has absolutely zero contact fear. He has as much contact courage as any player on the team. There were at least 3 plays where he ran full speed downhill into a running back and hit him with everything he had. Now, he's not knocking 210, 220-pound running backs backward. He's not. But he's also not like running up and catching them and trying to form tackle. He's giving them everything he has. That's how a safety has to play. And he's playing like it. I thought he knocked N'Keal Harry out of the game. That was one of the better hits of the game. He also came up and hit Damian Harris really hard on a run up the middle that could have been longer if Moore wasn't there. I like what I see from Moore. And again, this weekend, I would much rather play Moore against the Seahawks than Ward, because the Seahawks have no running game. Chris Carson's hurt. Carlos Hyde's hurt. They're now a pass-first team. They have good wide receivers, and they want to chuck it deep. I mean, Russell Wilson loses patience. He wants to chuck it deep so much. I'd like to have a free safety who can actually make plays, who can make Russell Wilson think twice about just throwing it up, because you don't have to worry about Jimmie Ward when you're throwing deep. You don't. You know he's not going to make a play. Has he ever? Maybe once. Maybe once. So, yeah, trade him for a player at the deadline or for a pick after the year. I would do that. I would absolutely do that. And again, it's not that I almost said he's a bad safety. He's not a bad safety. He's a bad nickel, a bad corner. He's a serviceable safety. Maybe serviceable plus, because he can play both safety positions. He can line up at nickel. But again, all that versatility for what? He makes plays at no position. So his versatility, it's like, okay, now I have a serviceable nickel in the game. Now I have a serviceable strong safety. Now I have a serviceable free safety. Know what I'm excited about? What I saw from Tavarius Moore was exciting. That's a future playmaker. And so I understand, like you're saying, well, he has a lot at stake. We don't need to trade Jimmie Ward and just give it all to Tavarius Moore right away. Let's chill. Okay, fine. If you can't get a player 1-for-1 for Jimmie Ward at the deadline, hold on to him. Let him chill on the bench. Let him be Tavarius Moore's backup. You guys really like Jimmie Ward. Why? He's been on the team since 2014 and made like 4 plays. Why does everyone like him so much? I understand, good guy, hard worker, feels like he's part of your family since you've been rooting for the team and he's been here, but come on, man. He's just a guy. He is just a guy. He's a Jag and not a Jaguar. He's a Jag. So let's talk big picture, the entire secondary. I don't want Jimmie Ward back on this team next year. If I were the GM, he'd be off. I'd trade him. I'd get rid of that contract. I would get some picks or some players for him. But I wouldn't stop there. This secondary, I thought, was a flat-out liability last season, and it got covered up by the best front 7 in the league. Until it didn't, until the Super Bowl. And now the secondary, pretty much the entire secondary is gone, and it's a new secondary, and I think it's better. The pass rush isn't good anymore. The Niners are winning with coverage. So it makes me feel like, we need to reconsider every single person who's out. Jimmie Ward, I'm done. You're gone.